What if Sans was in Demon Slayer? What kind of chaos would he cause in that dark universe? Would he join the demons? Or would he simply disappear like Zan in the blink of an eye? Sans, known for his bad jokes, his lazy walk, and his incredible loyalty, is someone who watches in silence and only acts when he needs to. But when he acts, there's no one left to tell the tale. But what if he saw the cruelty of the demons towards humans? Would he intervene or see it as a messed up timeline that's not worth fixing? Would he have mercy on Nezuko? Or, upon noticing the demonic essence inside her, would he use a surprise attack just to make sure she doesn't become a threat in the future? And more importantly, how did Sans end up in Demon Slayer? After countless timeline breaks due to constant resets, space and time within the Undertale universe start to collapse. Gaster, the mysterious scientist who also manipulated realities, tried to stabilize the world using experiments with alternate dimensions. Sans, curious and skeptical, decides to investigate these rifts. During the failed experiment, Sans is pulled into one of these dimensional anomalies. Sans ends up teleporting to the Demon Slayer universe. While Tanjiro was fighting the demons in the final selection, a new candidate appeared. It was Sans. While he was walking around the place where the final selection was taking place, one of the demons tried to attack Sans, but before it could get close to the skeleton, it was simply massacred. No sound, no fight, bones emerged from the ground in milliseconds. He was trapped by the various bones created by Sans, unable to move. During his peaceful walk, Sans comes across Tanjiro fighting the hand demon. After the demon fell, Sans watched as Tanjiro protected his companions in the battle against the ruthless demons. Curious to know more about Tanjiro, Sans began to observe him, just as he did with Frisk. By observing Tanjiro closely, Sans begins to understand the demons and Tanjiro's purpose. Following the hunter on his missions without interfering, there comes a point where he decides to take action. While Rengoku was facing the demon after the defeat of Upper Moon, Sans was watching the battle until Rengoku was pierced in the chest and even so kept fighting against the demon. When finally the demon flees and then meets Muzan, the king of the demons, Sans appears in the blink of an eye between the two demons. He stares at Muzan, believing him to be the cause of so much anguish and destruction in the world. Sans wants to put an end to the world's suffering right there. But why would he do this favor for the demon hunters? Attention, otaku! You're living like an NPC. You wake up tired, procrastinate everything, and feel like trash at the end of the day. Another month drags on, and nothing changes. Stop respawning into failure. Let me introduce you to my ultimate personal system for organization and productivity that turns your routine into a personal growth RPG. You'll level up while having fun, earning coins and rewards for completed tasks. This system is based on methods used by CEOs and high-performance athletes like GTD, Eisenhower, Pomodoro, and much more. It's fun, it's addictive, and it works. Have you wasted too much time already? Click the link in the description and start leveling up your life as a true protagonist. Look, we should remember that in Undertale, when the player follows the genocide route, Sans becomes someone determined to stop them, becoming the final boss of the game. Sans hates with every fiber of his comic, sarcastic, and tragic existence the player who chooses the genocide route, because that player violates the only thing Sans values, above all, empathy and the freedom of moral choice. When he realizes that besides turning people into demons and stealing their freedom, Muzan is also taking the lives of people who, like Sans, value and prioritize empathy and freedom. By recognizing the tyranny of the demons through Tanjiro's battles and Rengoku's sacrifice, Sans wishes to free the world from Muzan's wrath. But is that possible? Before I tell you, take this moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Only subscribers will have abilities as amazing as Sans's. Now look, Sans doesn't have a Nichirin sword to disintegrate the demons, but he has powers that the demons are still unaware of. Powers to create bones out of nowhere, soul manipulation, teleportation, and gaster blasters, devices through which he releases powerful energy waves capable of annihilating anything in his path. But would this ability work against the demons? And the answer is pretty obvious, it definitely would. Notice that this ability of Sans directly affects the soul of any being, ignoring armor or conventional defenses. And even though it might not seem like it, the demons still have souls. Even when transformed into demons, they still have their soul. The proof of that is Akaza and Kokushibo. Both demons, in their battles against the demon slayers in the Infinity Castle, felt regret in their final moments. Akaza saw his fiancée from his so-called past life, and Kokushibo remembered that he was once a human who sought what was right. Besides these two, we see in various missions how the demons defeated by the Slayers, especially during Tanjiro's journey, experienced unique feelings in their final moments, feelings that Muzan could not take away from them. This is the case with Gyutaro and Daki in their final moments, or even the Spider Demon Mother, who surrendered to death, wishing that Tanjiro would take her life to free her from Rui's manipulations. Besides that, we can't ignore an extremely important factor. If sunlight destroys demons because it is pure and absolute, the Gaster Blaster would be a kind of spiritual disintegration similar in concept. Knowing this, what will Sans do in the situation he's in? Even though Sans is extremely powerful and fast, this skeleton is extremely fragile and weak. He only has 1 HP, being literally defeated with a single blow. Not only that, his physical attack doesn't affect anyone. So thinking that Saints can stand up to the demons is pretty misguided. Muzan, when he sees Saints, can't recognize him as one of his Onis. Maybe he could have turned him into an Oni in the past, and he would be one of the Onis who went out of control like Nezuko. However, he has no skin or flesh, his body is made only of bones. When he insults Muzan with his jokes, Akaza attacks Sans, but he quickly catches him off guard by throwing bones at him. Soon, creating spiritual skulls, Sans begins his spiritual energy blasts against Muzan. Logically, the king of the Onis is absurdly fast, managing to dodge Sans' attack with some ease. When Akaza is freed, Sans has to deal with two extremely powerful Onis. Will this be possible? Notice that Sans has his instant teleportation, which gives him an advantage in the battle. Escaping from the ruthless attacks of Muzan and Akaza in an opening against the Onis, he manages to hit both of them with his spiritual energy. However, their souls resist this absolute energy. Because you see, just as Tanjiro's Nichirin was able to cut off the Oni's head, the Oni still managed to regenerate its head, just like Kokushibo. The power and desire of the Onis to keep fighting was immeasurable, therefore they resist these direct attacks from Sans. As the Onis start getting used to Sans' attack patterns, they get closer and closer to dealing damage to the skeleton. Therefore, Sans retreats without thinking twice. After this intense battle, Sans has his ego hurt, so he also decides to join the Demon Hunter's corps, introducing himself to Tanjiro, the one who would surely listen to his prayers. Not showing himself to be a threat, Tanjiro would allow Sans to join his group as support. After all, now they both have the same goal, to exterminate Kibutsuji Muzan. But look, Sans has a power I haven't mentioned yet, something that Muzan is feeling right at this moment. It's called Karma. In Undertale, Karma is a continuous damage effect that punishes the player for past actions, especially effective against those who followed the genocide route. In short, the more you've sinned, the more you bleed. Now imagine this applied to the Onis, who are by definition human souls corrupted by evil, selfishness, and a hunger for human flesh. In the case of the Onis, even if the body regenerates, the Oni's soul bleeds constantly, so Onis like Akaza and Muzan would feel increasingly intense pain. Now Muzan's quest is not just for the blue spider lily, it's also for Sans, the skeleton who is destroying him from the inside. Since Muzan can observe each of his Onis, including Nezuko, he knows that Sans is heading to the entertainment district. Soon Muzan sends more of his Upper Moons to destroy Sans. The hunter's plan is to introduce Sans to Uzui in the middle of the battle against the Onis, so that he would see Sans as someone who is on the side of the Demon Slayer Corps. Then, when facing Daki and Gyutaro, Sans makes his appearance, supporting the Demon Slayers in the fight against Upper Moon 6. With his wall of bones, he saves those in danger among the powerful demon slayers. Sans also uses his Gaster blasters to exterminate the Onis alongside the hunters. Daki, having a weak soul, is easily exterminated by the Gaster blasters, while Gyutaro proves to be a bit more resistant. However, he can't resist for long and has his soul erased as well, leaving him to give up, but the battle isn't over yet. While everyone was letting their guard down, Kokushibo appeared behind Tengen, cutting the hunter in half, and in the blink of an eye moved towards Sans, aiming to defeat the skeleton. One of the most epic battles begins. Sans vs Kokushibo. He uses all his tricks to stop the Oni, but Kokushibo's soul is resilient just like Akaza's and Muzan's. Tanjiro and his companions can barely react to the ruthless attacks of the Oni. However, Obanai arrives, attacking Kokushibo. But wait, how does Obanai know who to attack? See, Uzui's wives told him about Sans's deeds, and seeing the chance to take down Upper Moon One right in front of him, Obanai would join forces with Sans without even thinking twice. Obanai is also no match for Kokushibo, but he manages to support Sans, who summons multiple spiritual heads to finally put an end to Kokushibo. In the end, Sans thanks Obanai for his help and can finally rest, falling asleep. However, noticing this weakness while observing through Nezuko's eyes, Muzan realizes that Sans gets tired. Therefore, it's the perfect moment for Nakime to open the doors of the Infinity Castle beneath Sans, bringing the skeleton into the domain of the King of Demons. But he didn't expect that Obanai, Tanjiro and company would jump together into the Infinity Castle to help Sans and finally exterminate Muzan. The one big problem for our heroes is the lack of stamina and hunters for the battle. But look, Sans is still sleeping, and he's the key player in the hunters battle against Muzan. When Tanjiro meets the King of the Onis again, he realizes that the King of the Onis is completely different. Muzan had absorbed his most loyal demons to stay alive. Exactly, Muzan had absorbed the house to try to recover from the damage caused by Sans. But little did he know that this wouldn't help, it would only make things worse. Just like sending Kokushibo to kill them in the entertainment district and continuing to kill, devour and turn humans into demons, Muzan is in as horrible a state as he was in the original timeline with Tamayo's poison. Muzan is weakened and the battle begins between the hunters and Muzan. Now the King of Demons is not as fast and powerful as he should be thanks to Sans's karma. However, the hunters don't have enough strength to stop the King of Demons without the rest of the Hashiras. While Sans was taking his nap, Inosuke, using beast breathing, was looking for a way to get everyone out of that situation. But he encounters Ione, who, as she played her instrument, summoned more demons on Muzan's side. Soon, Inosuke realizes that the castle was her blood demon art, not Muzan's. Making his way through the rooms to Aoni, he manages to decapitate her with great effort. However, Aoni had already summoned the remaining upper moons for the battle. At this moment, Obanai, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke were completely exhausted even with the awakening of the mark on all the hunters. But look, being outside the Infinity Castle, Sans finally wakes up and joins the battle. He manages to hold back all the remaining Upper Moons and Muzan at the same time, since with each passing minute, the King of Demons was getting even weaker, just like the Upper Moons who were struck by Sans and received his karma during the battle. Thanks to the help of Nezuko, who is also a demon with infinite stamina, both of them together, along with Obanai, the Serpent Hashira, hold back the demons until reinforcements arrive, called by Obanai's crow even before they entered the Infinity Castle. Unfortunately, not all the Hashiras managed to show up right away, but Sanemi, Gyomei, Tomioka, and Shinobu arrived one after another, helping stabilize the battle. With that, each Upper Moon lost their head one after another. Finally, Sans finished off Muzan once and for all with the help of the Hashiras, obliterating Muzan with his multiple Gaster blasters. In the end, everyone was safe. The battle was over. Fortunately, there wasn't a growing number of deaths and Sans manages to return to his universe after saying goodbye to his new hunter friends. So, Otaku, did you enjoy this video? Leave a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get more videos like this. I picked this video here for you to watch. I'll see you there, Otaku.